Greetings, Wii fans! Michael here, and you probably know about virtually all of the currently existing official Pokemon. However, what you may not know is that many of the current Pokemon were originally designed with different appearances, and that there are plenty of Pokemon that were created that never made it into the final game. These unfinished, unreleased Pokemon are widely known as beta Pokemon. I wanted to make a video going over these beta Pokemon, but since so many people have made videos covering them before, I wanted to go at it with a different angle. So today, I will be covering just the beta Pokemon that I think deserved to remain beta Pokemon, and that I am glad never made it into the final games. But before we dive into that, this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, a brand new collection RPG game that is a massive hit. More than 10 million players have downloaded the game in less than 6 months, and it has a near perfect score on the Play Store with over 300,000 reviews. What does Raid offer? Well, there's over 400 champions to collect and customize, claiming glory in the PvP arena, a fully voiced story mode, and more. And it's all totally free to play. You can personally customize your champions by choosing artifacts and creating unique mastery builds for each one of them. My favorite part of the game is collecting all the different champions, but I really enjoy the game as a whole. They also just launched the highly anticipated Faction Wars feature, along with a spectacular new rewards program for new players, where you can get a daily login reward for your first 90 days in the game. So what are you waiting for? Head to my links down in the description below, click on them to download the game, and if you're a new player, you'll immediately get 100,000 silver and a free champion called Hexweaver. She's super dope, so it's awesome that you get her for free. All this treasure will be waiting for you here, so download the game, find me with the nickname MNJTV, and get your awesome free stuff. Hurry though, the rewards will only be there for the next 30 days. But now that I've covered that, let's dive into the beta Pokemon that I am glad were cut. The first of which is this creature here, which doesn't have an official name, but I'm calling it Clefairytop, because it looks like a fusion of Clefairy and Jigglypuff that fights by spinning around and kicking things like a top. I hate it. First off, it looks far too similar to existing Pokemon, mainly Clefairy, but the ears and head puff are just like Jigglypuff's, and the pink egg-like body definitely gives me Chansey vibes as well. Gen 1 already had too many pink round normal types, so I'm very glad we didn't get another one tacked onto the list. Additionally, the design is disturbing. Having feet around its waist is weird to begin with, but due to the fact that the gray part is one solid piece rather than being individual legs, to me makes it look like it's wearing a belt with feet attached to it. Like, feet that don't belong to it. That's messed up. So in short, I am very glad that this Hannibal Lecter Clefairy was removed from the game. The next beta Pokemon is an early form of a Pokemon that ended up making it into the game. That being the beta form of Ivysaur. Yeah, I know, it's an abomination. This design of Ivysaur is found within the red and green beta, and it looks like someone stepped on it. Now while the red and green sprites for Ivysaur and Venusaur do look a bit squished, beta Ivysaur is on another level of flattened. In addition to that, it looks like a miserable failed experiment. Like that facial expression just looks pained and unhappy, and the whole thing just looks more like a blob than the quadruped amphibian / reptile that Ivysaur normally is. With that huge flower tacked onto the back of it, like, I don't even know if this thing could move. Another early version of a Pokemon that I'm glad was cut was Beta Marill, and I'm glad it was cut not because it's bad, just because it's bland. To me, it looks like a pink Pikachu with less interesting ears and tail. Because the features are so simple, it also just looks basically like a pink hamster with a ball tail. I think the changes they made to Marill's design were very good ones, as they made it seem more unique and interesting. It should be noted though that the sprite for Beta Marill in the Gold and Silver Space World demo does bear more resemblance to modern day Marill, having the more round body type rather than the oblong hamster body. Speaking of that demo has the biggest collection of beta Pokemon out there, and as a result has quite a few beta Pokemon that I am very glad didn't make it into the final games. The first is Beta Hitmontop. Beta Tyrogue looks a little goofy but not bad, but Beta Hitmontop is horrific. They designed it in such a way that instead of Hitmontop flipping upside down to spin, they just made it so that it was upside down all the time, with feet coming out of its head. So now this Pokemon has what are effectively horns that look like feet. That's fine, albeit a little weird, but what's super disturbing to me about this design is the solitary eye on its crotch. Like, what? No, that's so weird and super uncomfortable. For me to make eye contact with this thing, I gotta be looking down below the belt. I am super glad that this design was dramatically altered because I really like modern Hitmontop, and the beta one was just, that would have been a catastrophe. The next beta Pokemon from this demo that I'm glad didn't make it was Beta Hoppip, and just Hoppip. While Beta Skiploom and Jumpluff look noticeably different than their final versions, I'm totally fine with their designs. If these had ended up being the final forms, I would have been perfectly chill with that. However, I'm glad that Hoppip was changed because I feel like Beta Hoppip looks too similar to Oddish. It is a dark blue blob with dot eyes and green plants coming from its head. Sure, Oddish has feet while Beta Hoppip has ears and a tail, but I still think they were too similar. I definitely prefer Pink Hoppip. The next Pokemon is Beta Porygon 2, and I just have one question for this creature.
Why the you lying?
I'm glad this design was altered because it just doesn't make any sense to me. Porygon to Porygon 2, the final Porygon 2, makes sense. You take the boxy computer bird and you make it more sleek and aerodynamic, like old boxy tech turning into the sleeker, cooler looking tech. But having a bird transform into a derpy lion? That's a dramatic species change that just doesn't make any sense at all to me. I'm really glad they changed Porygon 2's design because otherwise it would have been just super illogical. The next one is Beta Bayleef, and yes, this is supposedly a Bayleef. I dislike this for two reasons. The first is that it looks weird. It's a tiny antenna Chansey with an eye on its belly, sitting in a flower. It's like Flabébé, but bad. And the second is that it makes no sense. Why go from tiny leaf dinosaur to flower-dwelling creature to big leaf dinosaur? Like, dinosaurs didn't have a metamorphosis stage, it's completely illogical, and I'm really glad they changed it because we ended up with modern day Bayleef, a Pokemon that I, along with many others, think is pretty cool. The next one is Beta Mime Jr. And yes, I know that Mime Jr. wasn't introduced until Generation 4, but this is a beta Pokemon that is a baby form of Mr. Mime, which is what Mime Jr. is, so this Pokemon is effectively a Beta Mime Jr. This is an egg with a hat. Funny? Yes. Cute? Sure. A logical pre-evolution for Mr. Mime? Absolutely not. The only things Beta Mime Jr. has in common with Mr. Mime are the hat-like thing on its head and the pink cheeks. Other than that, like I said, it's just an egg. I suppose it might have been fine as a standalone Pokemon, but as a pre-evolution for Mr. Mime, that just wouldn't have worked. Speaking of baby Pokemon, I hate them. Okay, that's an exaggeration. I don't hate all baby Pokemon. There are some that I quite like, such as Mantike. I will admit that I think new pre-evolutions are far less interesting and exciting than new evolutions, but I don't hate all baby Pokemon simply for existing. What I do not like is when they give a new pre-evolution to a Pokemon that definitely doesn't need it. I'm talking about when they give a smaller and weaker form to a Pokemon that was already small and weak. Baby Pokemon makes sense to be given to base form Pokemon that were already at least somewhat buff. Good examples are Electabuzz, Magmar, and Mantine. They have decently high base stat totals in the upper 400s. Plenty of fully evolved Pokemon have base stat totals of comparable levels, so giving them a pre-evolution isn't a crazy idea. But Igglybuff, Cleffa, and Azurill do not need to exist. Pichu is in the same situation, but it gets a pass because it's related to the series mascot, so they had some incentive there, and also I think it's extremely cute. But the other three are baby forms given to Pokemon that already made sense as base form Pokemon. Of these three, the highest base stat total is Clefairy with only 323. The next highest base stat total of a Pokemon that received a baby form was Roselia with a base stat total of 400, 77 points higher than Clefairy's. That's a huge jump. The Pokemon that have low base stat totals did not need baby forms. They don't need to exist. I've held this belief for a long time, so when the Gold and Silver demo sprites were first revealed, I was stunned to see that we really dodged a bullet, because they originally intended to include a disgusting amount of baby Pokemon forms of already weak Pokemon. Here are all the beta baby Pokemon whose next evolution would have been a Pokemon with an under 400 base stat total. Baby Vulpix, Baby Goldeen, Baby Paris, Baby Doduo, Baby Meowth, Baby Grimer, and Baby Growlithe. There were also beta baby forms of Tangela and Ponyta, but both Tangela and Ponyta have over 400 as their base stat total, so I can't really criticize them here, except for saying that beta baby Ponyta looks like Ponyta with shorter legs and less fire. So I'm glad that all of these baby Pokemon didn't make it into the game, but I want to spend a little bit of extra time on one in particular, that being Hinazu, the baby form of Doduo. What the hell is this? It is immediately apparent that this Pokemon is based on baby birds in a nest. Their dead eyes are a tad unsettling, but what's truly unsettling to me is that this is basically a nest with 3 birds in it that has 2 feet sticking out the bottom. It's just weird. Also, if this Pokemon had not been cut, that means the Doduo line would have started with 3 heads, then gone down to 2, and then gone back to 3. Like, what? What happened to the 3rd head during the Doduo stage? Was it just shoved up the butt or something? I don't know. So that about wraps it up for beta Pokemon I am glad were cut. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to check out some more of my fun Pokemon content, I recommend this video here. Also, don't forget to check out Raid Shadow Legends, linked in the description. Alright, that's all I have for now. So till next time, Pokefans. Gotta catch them all!